I'm Caroline. I did my presentation on a Pew Research Center article on affirmative action. So it was called More Americans Disapprove Than Approve of Colleges Considering Race, Ethnicity in Admissions Decisions. So what was the study? The study was conducted by the Pew Research Center, and it found that Americans are nearly 3 times more likely to say they strongly disapprove of colleges using this affirmative action, which is equal to 29%, compared to those who say they strongly approve, which was only 11%. And this was conducted through a survey of Americans. And 33% of colleges considering race and ethnicity to increase diversity at schools, while 16% are not sure whether or not they approve of this. So why was this conducted? Overall, I'll just say it's been a pretty big topic in court cases with admissions decisions. So this survey was conducted before the final hearing of one specific Supreme Court decision that would potentially affect admission practices at colleges and universities across the United States. This research was conducted to analyze how Americans feel about the inclusion of race and ethnicity in college admissions decisions, and it addresses the question of whether or not it is acceptable to use race/ethnicity as part of college admissions decisions for the purpose of promoting diversity. So there was a lot of concern about whether or not it was fair to take race and ethnicity into consideration for the sake of promoting diversity on campuses. So what research questions or hypotheses were the researchers seeking to answer? The first one could be, how many schools take race and ethnicity into consideration when making admissions decisions? What are the statistical differences between races and admission trends? And one hypothesis could be most Americans disagree with race and ethnicity being factored into admissions decisions. So an overview of the study. This was a survey conducted from March 27th to April 2nd, 2023, among 5,079 members of the Center's American Trends panel, which found that Americans are more than twice as likely to say that the consideration of race and ethnicity in admissions decisions makes the overall admissions process less fair, which is 49%, rather than more fair, which was 20%, and 17% say that this does not affect the process. And these two slides just kind of show charts of that study that was conducted, so you can kind of get an idea of the audience and kind of where they fell on these surveys, whether or not they think the process is fair or necessary. So then overall the flaws, I would say my main issue was that the methods were not super clear. Yes, they said that it was a survey that was conducted, and they mentioned it was the Center's American Trends panel, but they didn't really go into how they found this sample group or, age or any real demographics about them, just a little bit about their race or ethnicity. And I thought it was also interesting, they said estimates for Asian adults speaking English were used, Hispanics of any race were used, and then Black, white, and Asian adults who report being one race, non-Hispanic, were used. And they did not report age or any information beyond race or ethnicity again. So with these different groups, I just thought it was kind of odd that they included some of this information. So Hispanics of any race were used, and then I thought it was interesting that they used Black, white, and Asian adults who only reported being one race, rather than, even including those who identify as more than one race. So that's something that I would think could be interesting to also include, people who are multiracial or whatever, how they felt about this, or just a little bit more specific about, even if they identify as Black or white or Asian, where are they from? Like, are there trends in certain parts of the United States where they're, reporting these feelings? I just think a little bit more information would have been beneficial, even though it should be noted that it was a pretty short survey. It was about, a couple months long, if that. So I just think that it would be a really good survey if they had a little bit more information, or maybe even a bigger group. So just to elaborate a little bit more about the exact sample, because there wasn't a lot of detail, I would recommend a follow-up after the official court rulings to see how people feel, after that. Like, do you feel that the new ruling is what you wanted, or do you think it's going to be beneficial, things like that. And then I also said I would consider surveying admissions workers, rising college students, and current college students or graduates to have a more specific audience. Because while I think it is useful to get an idea from all Americans, I think it also could be interesting to ask those specifically dealing with the actual admissions process how they feel, because they've either gone through it or they are going through it. So I just think that could be something interesting to do, something to include. But those were my main points from it. So yeah, thank you. And here is a link to my article. Thank you.